Microsoft Exchange 2016 and 19 are reaching their end of support in 30 days. We covered this story when the announcement was made a few months ago, but as the deadline gets closer, we just want to make sure that folks know if you are not moving to 365, there is an alternative. You'd be able to use Exchange Server SE to continue having an on-prem Exchange instance. However, you will want to make sure to choose from one of those two adventures, as there are not going to be additional fixes or support. And as we know, staying up to date on patches is going to be one of the biggest factors to vulnerability to exploits and attacks. So this shouldn't be too much of a surprise. End date for mainstream support was in 2020, October. It's been kind of continued support, life support for the last few years after that. So I don't know that we've got a ton to cover on this one. We will share the September notice from Microsoft with more detail on your options and process for switching to those. But I think maybe let's touch on, I think the first thought for a lot of folks, myself included, is love yourself more. Why would you still want to manage email on premises? Like, there's a better way. But that's not, that may be the most common situation, but it's certainly not universal. So let's talk about, some of the reasons why folks may still opt for on-prem, who that may make sense for. I think, one of those folks are folks that are dealing with really strict compliance requirements. If they have to, have very strict maintenance of data custody, there are certainly Gov Cloud solutions, for example, that can help meet those standards on the federal side. But for some organizations, they may choose to go the route of continuing to own that infrastructure. Gents, anything else that you can think of there?
Potentially cost was one consideration I was thinking of. I think that there's a lot that has been done to mitigate that migration from a CapEx to an OpEx cost when you're talking about going to one of these, because that's what these are. These are all going to be subscription-based services, right? At the end of the day, I would challenge people who are concerned about the cost, though, to really consider it. It might be a fear of the unknown. These things have been around for a while, though, so it's time to, I think, really take a look at whether you need to have that still be on-prem. I think that there are some cases, maybe there's a compliance framework out there that requires you to have an Exchange. I am not aware of that personally. But like, let's say there's something that requires you to have very, very good top-notch physical security, then I think even in those instances, GCC high is a thing that exists. But then that might creep into the cost.
Right, then we're getting back to the cost
right.
equation.
But yeah, it's one of those things where I can't really think of a good reason, at least in the experiences that I've had, to continue going down this on-prem route for Exchange in particular.
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts. One is I love the idea of people holding out on a cloud-based Exchange server. It just like feels like so legacy old school to me, like with the times changing and AI so futuristic. I love people are going back to more like mechanical type of hosting. That's just a personal thing, but it is harder. It does make you more vulnerable. Generally speaking, it does. The thing that I thought of was, so we talk a lot with our manufacturing customers about things like IoT and legacy in-house products. I've seen online that it is a lot easier to hook those things into a on-prem Exchange server. So maybe some integration stuff. If your business runs on some in-house legacy type of system, you might opt for on-prem Exchange.
Yeah. I think you touched on something that is a primary culprit in unoptimized security decisions, Justin, which is that idea of like the devil you know, right? That even if you take a look at the support, the the capabilities, all of these things, and can line up those pros and cons columns, and on paper it looks like this is going to be a easier, cheaper, fill in the blank adjective solution. There is that emotional or I think responsive kind of reaction of, but I understand this, I know this, I've managed this, it's worked for us until now. Why would we make a change? But like you said, you have the choice in a lot of situations of paying a understood and clearly communicated cost now, or taking a gamble on potentially a much larger cost down the road.